It's Liz from G Mum's Place again, and today we're here with Theodore Boone by John Grisham, published in 2010, and it's the first book of the Theodore Boone series. Here is the synopsis. Say, Theo, do you think Mr. Duffy is guilty? He's presumed innocent. Got that, but what's your opinion as to his guilt? I think he did it. Theodore Boone is 13 and wants nothing more than to swap homeroom for the courtroom. He lives for the big trials. Now the biggest murder case in his city's history is set to begin. In the packed court, a husband awaits trial for his wife's murder. Is he a dangerous criminal or an innocent victim? The case takes a sinister twist when Theo uncovers a surprise witness with his own problems to hide. But Theodore is sworn to secrecy and time is running out. Can Theo find a way to bring the killer to justice, or will a guilty man get away with murder? Here are the opening paragraphs. Theodore Boone was an only child and for that reason usually had breakfast alone. His father, a busy lawyer, was in the habit of leaving early and meeting friends for coffee and gossip at the same downtown diner every morning at 7. Theo's mother, herself a busy lawyer, had been trying to lose 10 pounds for at least the past 10 years, and because of this, she'd convinced herself that breakfast should be nothing more than coffee with the newspaper. So he ate by himself at the kitchen table, cold cereal and orange juice with an eye on the clock. The Boone home had clocks everywhere, clear evidence of organised people. Actually, he wasn't completely alone. Beside his chair, his dog ate too. The judge was a thoroughly mixed mutt, whose age and breeding would always be a mystery. Theo had rescued him from near death with a last-second appearance in animal court 2 years earlier, and Judge would always be grateful. He preferred Cheerios, same as Theo, and they ate together in silence every morning. At 8 a.m, Theo rinsed their bowls in the sink, placed the milk and juice back in the fridge, walked to the den and kissed his mother on the cheek. Off to school, he said. Do you have lunch money, she asked. The same question 5 mornings a week. Always. And your homework is complete? It's perfect, Mum. And I'll see you when? I'll stop by the office after school. Theo stopped by the office every day after school without fail. But Mrs. Boone always asked. Be careful, she said, and remember to smile. The braces on his teeth had now been in place for over 2 years, and Theo wanted desperately to get rid of them. In the meantime, though, his mother continually reminded him to smile and make the world a happier place. I'm smiling, Mum. Love you, Teddy. Love you back. Theo doesn't like being called Teddy. He thinks it's a baby name. In this next scene, Theo is trying to see his friend Judge Gantry. His favourite judge was the Honourable Henry Gantry, and he entered the great man's outer office at 20 minutes after 8 a.m. Well, good morning, Theo, Mrs. Hardy said. She was stirring something into her coffee and preparing to begin her work. Morning, Mrs. Hardy, Theo said with a smile. And to what do we owe this honour, she asked. She was not quite as old as Theo's mother, he guessed, and she was very pretty. She was Theo's favourite of all the secretaries in the courthouse. His favourite clerk was Jenny over in family court. I need to see Judge Gantry, he replied. Is he in? Well, yes, but he's very busy. Please, it'll just take a minute. She sipped her coffee, then asked, does this have anything to do with the big trial tomorrow? Yes, ma'am, it does. I'd like for my government class to watch the first day of the trial, but I've got to make sure there will be enough seats. Oh, I don't know about that, Theo, Mrs. Hardy said, frowning and shaking her head. We're expecting an overflow crowd. Seating will be tight. Can I talk to the judge? How many are in your class? 16. I thought maybe we could sit in the balcony. She was still frowning as she picked up the phone and pushed a button. She waited a second, then said, "Yes, Judge, Theodore Boone is here and would like to see you. I told him you are very busy." She listened some more and then put down the phone. "Hurry," she said, pointing to the judge's door. Seconds later, Theo stood before the biggest desk in town. A desk covered with all sorts of papers and files and thick binders. A desk that symbolised the enormous power held by Judge Henry Gantry, who at that moment was not smiling. In fact, Theo was certain the judge had not cracked a smile since he'd interrupted his work. Theo, though, was pressing hard with a prolonged flash of metal from ear to ear. "State your case," Judge Gantry said. Theo had heard him issue this command on many occasions. He'd seen lawyers, good lawyers, rise and stutter and search for words while Judge Gantry scowled down from the bench. He wasn't scowling now, nor was he wearing his black robe, but he was still intimidating. As Theo cleared his throat, he saw an unmistakable twinkle in his friend's eye. "Yes, sir. Well, my government teacher is Mr. Mount, and Mr. Mount thinks we might get approval from the principal for an all-day field trip to watch the opening of the trial tomorrow." Theo paused, took a deep breath, told himself again to speak clearly, slowly, forcefully, like all great trial lawyers. "But we need guaranteed seats. I was thinking we could sit in the balcony." "Oh, you were?" "Yes, sir." "How many?" 16 plus Mr. Mount." The judge picked up a file, opened it, and began reading as if he'd suddenly forgotten about Theo standing at attention across the desk. Theo waited for an awkward 15 seconds. Then the judge abruptly said, "17 seats, front balcony, left side. I'll tell the bailiff to seat you at 10 minutes before 9 tomorrow. I expect perfect behaviour." "No problem, sir." "I'll have Mrs. Hardy email a note to your principal." "Thanks, Judge." "You can go now, Theo. Sorry to be so busy." "No problem, sir." Theo was scurrying toward the door when the judge said, "Say, Theo, do you think Mr. Duffy is guilty?" Theo stopped, turned around, and without hesitating, responded, "He's presumed innocent." "Got that. But what's your opinion as to his guilt?" "I think he did it." The judge nodded slightly, but gave no indication of whether he agreed. "What about you?" Theo asked. Finally, a smile. "I'm a fair and impartial referee, Theo. I have no preconceived notions of guilt or innocence." "That's what I thought you'd say." "See you tomorrow." Theo cracked the door and hustled out. Mrs. Hardy was on her feet, hands on hips, staring down two flustered lawyers who were demanding to see the judge. All three clammed up when Theo walked out of Judge Gantry's office. He smiled at Mrs. Hardy as he walked hurriedly by. "Thanks," he said, as he opened the door and disappeared. So Theo went on to school. Here's the next section. Second period was geometry with Miss Garman. It was followed by a short break outdoors. Then the class returned to homeroom, to Mr. Mount, and the best hour of the day, at least in Theo's opinion. Mr. Mount was in his mid-30s and had once worked as a lawyer at a gigantic firm in a skyscraper in Chicago. His brother was a lawyer. His father and grandfather had been lawyers and judges. Mr. Mount, though, had grown weary of the long hours and high pressure, and, well, he'd quit. He'd walked away from the big money and found something he found far more rewarding. He loved teaching, and though he still thought of himself as a lawyer, he considered the classroom far more important than the courtroom. Because he knew the law so well, his government class spent most of its time discussing cases, old ones and current ones, and even fictitious ones on television. "All right, men," he began, when they were seated and still. He always addressed them as men, and for 13-year-olds there was no greater compliment. "Tomorrow I want you here at 8:15. We'll take a bus to the courthouse, and we'll be in our seats in plenty of time. It's a field trip approved by the principal, so you will be excused from all other classes. Bring lunch money and we'll eat at Pappy's Deli. Any questions?" The men were hanging on every word, excitement all over their faces. "What about backpacks?" someone asked. "No," Mr. Mound answered. "You can't take anything into the courtroom. Security will be tight. It is, after all, the first murder trial here in a long time. Any more questions?" "What should we wear?" Slowly, all eyes turned to Theo, including those of Mr. Mount. It was well known that Theo spent more time in the courthouse than most lawyers. "Coat and tie, Theo?" Mr. Mount asked. "No, not at all. What we're wearing now is fine." "Great. Any more questions?" "Good. Now, I've asked Theo if he would sort of set the stage for tomorrow. Lay out the courtroom, give us the players. Tell us what we're in for, Theo." This book is aimed at middle school level, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Theodore Boone is a smart, capable 13-year-old boy, only child of 2 lawyer parents. He wants to be a courtroom lawyer when he grows up. In the meantime, though, he acts as lawyer for his friends and their families in animal court. He saves a boa constrictor named Herman in this book's case in animal court. As you would expect from John Grisham, the writing flows beautifully, the characters are strong, and Strattonburg sounds like a wonderful place to live. As always, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell and smash the like button. And if you want to just say hi, please leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching this video.